Meanwhile, yeah, everybody, thank you for coming to our today webinar, mock interview sessions with hiring managers. We have today Adeel Mansoor and we have today George Andraws. Both are directors of engineering in QA and engineering. And I'm very excited to see in our guest as well, Katilda. She she uh, she was our student a while ago, like a year or so. So we'll give you, Katilda, a few words, but before we're gonna start, guys, hit plus sign who the very first time in our mock interview sessions. Uh, I'm very curious about it because we also have a YouTube channel. We post its and both in Adil and George has a lot of views in our YouTube channel with their mock interviews. So if you're the very first, awesome, great. I see that people who just joined the very first time. So let me explain how it looks like and what you should expect. So anonymous mock interview is the only purpose for anonymous mock interviews is getting the feedback from real hiring managers who is doing this on daily basis. And very often when you're going to the interview and you're getting rejected, you usually will get the very generic response, right? But at this moment, this is the opportunity where you can actually improve your interviewing skills and um, work on it, And Adil and George will provide feedback straight to the point without, without political correctness, I would say, but will be also gentle. So we're trying to make it safe, and this is why we're doing this anonymously. We don't want to expose your identity, and that's why all our candidates will be with blanked out resumes and will not expose their names. So if you first time and you don't know if you want to participate even today, great, you can do it. You can let us know in the chat. But before actually doing this, make sure to remove, as I mentioned, all identities in your resume, because I'm going to ask you to share your resume to give us a context, like what kind of job you're looking. And we already have prepared two candidates. They will join us in a few moments. But what I mentioned, we have today, yes, we see candidate number one. Kate, could you please move him? Oh, yeah, two panelists as well. But before that, I just mentioned that in our attendees, we have Katilda. Katilda, she was following us a while ago in mock interviews. And a year ago, we did a project called Crushing Interview, where we did very similar experience for improving mock interviews. And Katilda, I know she has a great story, and I want to really, Katilda, you share your story. Katilda, hello. I'm very happy that you join us. You muted, by the way.
Hello. Sorry, the Zoom gave me something weird. But hi everyone. Like Evgeny said, I was just like many of you, trying to figure out how to get better at doing interviews, and I would watch as many QA mock interviews as I could, and eventually I did the Crushing interview program. And what I really liked about it was that you got to learn how to shift your mindset, and how to present yourself, that all of the work that you've done, that you could articulate it well so that you could showcase all of this amazing skills that you had.
Matilda, before you're going with that, tell us your story. Like because I know that you were a student graduate with CS degree, right? And you was trying to get a job, as many as our listeners as well, right? In the middle of layoffs. Uh, Tell us like your story. How did you got through that? Uh, and how did you get your first job from?
Oh goodness.
Yeah,
Oh man, that chapter was interesting.
the
Um,
very hard chapter. Yes.
yeah, it is. It was. Yeah, it's in the past. Let's see. I was, man, it was really hard because um, I had all of this knowledge about QA um, and I wanted to marry it with the experience that I had that I had before, but I was just having a hard time breaking in. Um, and for me, what it what was like my North Star was just I had to keep going. I had to know why I was doing this. And every day I just tried to be 1% better. And eventually that just added up. And I made it through. So, yeah.
How did you made it through? Like, where
What?
did you? Well, people don't know. Like, where did you started before, right? And how
True.
long it took you to get your job in software testing?
Okay. It took over a year to break in. Um,
Over a year.
I had my background was mainly, it was very diverse. But at that point, I was being a caregiver, but I also had um, um, a degree in in math. Oh gosh, yeah, yeah, it was a lot, but
Okay, okay. And where did you get your first job? I know that you had to relocate from. Tell us,
yeah,
tell us.
I had to relocate. Um, it it was um the oh okay, so I basically moved across the country to get this position, or once I accepted it, and it is a really cool um job. I get to
From
do
where to where,
functional
Catilda? From
from
where to
where to
where?
where,
Yeah,
from
yeah.
West Coast to East Coast, and the the it's just completely different from what I was used to in California. Um, and now I'm on the East Coast. Um, it the adjusting
You don't want
the
to
to the
specify the
time zone.
state?
Yeah, no, I can't. I can't
Okay,
specify
okay.
the state, but like adjusting to the time zone took a while. And then let's just say I get hurricanes and it rains a lot, and
Cool.
oh man, it's so humid. It's so humid over here. But yeah, um,
Yeah,
it
Catilda.
was worth it.
I'm so happy. It's so ironic, right? Like many people, they're actually going to California thinking that here is much more jobs, but it happened uh, completely opposite. You went away from California to East Coast and to get your first job. Anyway, I think it's worth it, especially when you're a fresh starter. And yeah, I wish you good luck with your continuing path in software development, software testing, and I'm very happy that you joined. Thank you very much,
Oh,
Catilda.
thank you, everyone on this channel. Thank you, because um, I've watched a lot of George's mock interviews, and oh my goodness, uh, one one of the reasons why I got the position that I got was because of the tips that he gave me. And when I finally got to talk to my fellow coworkers, they just were so astonished with one of my answers just because of the tips that were given from George, and then all of the useful shift in mindsets that Adeel and Evgeny gave me. It's people who are on this live, please get a piece of paper, get a pencil, because you will want to erase some notes.
That was
But
spoil alert.
you will get something from this. So please pay attention.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Katilda. Thank you very much for sharing. Let's get started. Let's get started. We have candidate number one already ready. Hey, candidate number one, how are you? You can unmute yourself and
Hello,
hi.
can you hear me? Hi.
Yes.
Yeah, this is
Hello.
Priyanka. Hello, good morning.
Hi,
Nice to
Priyanka.
see you guys over here. Yeah,
Nice
hello.
to having you. Very
Yeah.
happy to have you. Before we're gonna start with tell me about yourself. Can you tell us like brief your situation, like how long you've been in the job market, what kind of positions you are looking, and then we'll move towards the mock interview. So just give a context to everyone.
Okay, so my name is Priyanka. I just graduated from Douglas College, Vancouver, British Columbia, in Computing Studies and Information Systems. So I just did an undergraduate diploma in this degree, and like I came here after my high school, so I don't have any previous work experience. Now I'm looking for some software development job,
Mhm.
because entire college period I'm more interested in the backend development. I like to play with the database and the APIs. So yeah, so main problem is I don't have the experience, but I'm looking a job and I'm quite skilled in this. But yeah, so that's the whole thing.
Okay. Maybe you can share your resume. However, we already know a little bit more context. Share your screen with us. Share your resume, and why don't you tell about yourself? You already started.
So can you see my resume over here?
Yes, we do.
Okay. So as I told you, I just graduated from Computing Studies and Information Systems. So throughout this period, I have been the part of many different IT development projects. I have done the software development project with Spring Boot, Laravel PHP language, and mobile app development. So I'm more interested and creative with the backend development, with the database development, and creating the APIs. I'm skilled in backend development with Spring Boot and MySQL, and I have good knowledge of Java. Personally, I like to be challenged in my coursework or the job, and that's it. That's all about myself.
All right, George.
Yeah, great. I can start with a question. Hi, it's nice to meet you. I'm George. So I'm gonna ask you a question, kind of like an interview. So answer it how you'd answer an interview, and then I'll give you some feedback. And I just before I start, I do want to say Catilda was really nice with her feedback. It just warms my heart whenever I can help anyone. But I also do want to tell you that I am very brutally honest when I give feedback. So I don't sugarcoat anything. And it's because I really want to help you. So I talk to you like I'm talking to a friend. And so you'll get exactly what I'm thinking. So
Sure.
awesome. Can you please tell me about an achievement that you're proud of?
Okay, so it is the last project when I was dealing with. It was a Laravel project, a PHP one. So the thing was, there were three people in the group, and they were quite friends of me. And we divided the task within all of us. One was handling the front end, and I was handling the back end, and one was doing the animation. But the thing was, they were not much really interested in the project. And eventually, I ended up doing everything like the front end and the back end. But it turned out to be one of the biggest achievement that I ever had during my coursework and in my career. That I handled everything. Like I created the front end, with the PHP language. I created the backend with the SQL, and I integrated. So there was the point when I was so much happy with myself, because I always thought that I'm very good in the backend. I cannot do the front end, but that project really make me feel that no, I can do everything. So this was one of the biggest achievement that I had.
Okay. Give me a second, I'm taking some notes. So I'm treating this just like a real interview.
Sure.
So I took notes and I'm adding some feedback. Okay. So this is an interesting answer because there's two aspects to this. One is the people aspect. You were working in a project and the people didn't do their job. The second was you were proud of the achievement you did because you took on more responsibility and you kind of broke out of what you were comfortable doing. You told me the beginning of the story. You told me the conflict that happened, but you only told me part of the ending. So for this to go from like an okay answer to a really great answer, I want to hear how you dealt with the other two people on your project. You know, what was the issue, the conflict? Why did they drop out? Did you not choose the right people? Did they start and not commit? And then how did you handle that when it came up? Did you talk to them? Did you just say, okay? So I understand it sounds like more of like a friend project, not, you know, a work or a school project. So maybe they didn't have to commit. They didn't have anything invested, which is fine. But tell me about it. I want to know because there's a, you know, resolving the people conflict is an important part of that story. And then the second is you said you did the front and the back end. You didn't tell me much about the project. I don't know much about the scope, what it is you were really trying to build. How big was it? How long did it take you? How long did you estimate at first and how long did it end up taking? And what was the outcome? So I think the outcome is super important here. I got the sense that you were proud of yourself because you took on more, which is great. That's awesome. I like that mindset. But to really wrap this up really, really well, tell me about why it was so great. It doesn't have to be amazing, but you know, tell me, you know, you estimated maybe 3 people. The estimate was it would take 1 month, and just you by yourself, you did it in 6 weeks, right? So you cut the time down in half, but you did all the work, something like that. If there's a metric in there, that'd be kind of nice.
Okay, sure.
Adeel, do you have any feedback?
No, let me ask a slightly different. I think with George's feedback is spot on. I don't have anything to add. Giving context is good. It's think about it as storytelling, right? You want to give like the interesting, juicy parts of the story, and context is always important. I know in your resume you have a little bit more context, but when you're talking about your favorite project, you want to you should always try to start out with some context. So I think that's good advice. I'm going to ask another question. See, I'll just go in like a slightly different direction. You said this, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is the ChefLink project, right, that you were talking about?
This is the Laravel project, the food eco. Yeah.
Okay. Great. I think, yeah, I can keep the question the same. Can you talk a little bit more about, can you talk a little bit about the decision on which database you went with and how did you connect to that database through your code? Talk to me a little bit about what went into the decision on what database you picked and the technology to connect to it.
Okay, sure. So it was about when we were in the course of PHP, backend web development. And the professor told us to choose a topic, and we choose the food ego. It is more connected to me because it is about choosing the defense services across the area, because we do not have any website called this. who is doing this thing in the market right now. So I thought that it is a very good idea to launch it in the market because it will provide a platform to the people to connect with the different services. And about the technical stuff, I choose the SQL because I'm much more better in that. I think as compared to the other database things, I'm better with the SQL. So I thought of taking the MVC model because I find the most easy way of creating a website is the MVC model to create the controller to connect the models with the views. So we choose the SQL and we choose the XAMPP as the platform to connect with the SQL databases. And we created different tables in that, created the relationships between it, like the primary relationships and the secondary ones. And then we created the models for that. And with the controllers, we created the API so that we can connect the database with the views. And in the views, we created the front pages with the help of HTML, CSS, and more specifically, we focused on the PHP. So we created the front-end pages with the PHP, and we connected it with the backend through the APIs. So this was the whole technical thing that we did in that project.
Awesome. Digging more into the models that you created, were you the one responsible for creating the models, and what were some things you learned during creating those models?
So yes, I was the only responsible person for creating the models. So for the first thing that we did for creating the model, like in every single project, the first thing I do for the database is to choose what kind of entities I have to take, what people I have to take to see them as the responsible people for this project. For example, in this scenario, the one of the main thing of this project was not only the customers were there, but also the chefs were there. So we have to take very good care of the chefs that how they can log in the project in the website, how they can market themselves. So chefs were there and the menu was there. Now the menu is a tough thing to deal with because how we can connect the menu entity to the chef people. So the menu was the entity, chef was entity, and admin was also one of them because admin has the whole control to get through the project, and the customers were there. So these four entities were the major ones. That's it.
Okay. And I'm guessing you used Hibernate for the, as the backend for connect, between your code and your database. Is that correct?
Uh, actually, I'm not sure about this one because we keep it very simple. So in the Visual Studio Code, we were having the simple project. So we just made the simple APIs with the controller and connected it uh, with the models. That's all.
Okay, so just you wrote out the SQL queries instead of using something to abstract it away,
Yes.
like Hibernate.
Yes.
Got it. Very good. Any other questions related to that, George, before feedback on that one?
Nope.
Yeah. I thought you did a really good job of constructing that answer. It wasn't too long-winded, give good context. We start to see bits and pieces. I think still, based on George's feedback, I think you started to fill in bits and pieces about what the application did. Your contributions to it give a lot of good context in general. I would say, like, just very specifically, if you're targeting, if you're going in for and which is not this, but if you're going in for a Java, a position that's specifically seeking out Java, you wanna make sure that overall, I think you did a really good job, but you want to make sure that some of the nuances there, some of the details of the platform, but you knew a lot of the details, which is great. So I think overall, pretty good answer, and it was also good to hear additional context and take that feedback and put it into action right away.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, couple things. I agree with Adeel as well. The answer is pretty good. You had good context. You know your stuff. You know, when Adeel asked you more questions, you were able to answer. I mean, sometimes candidates, they talk about a project and they don't really know it very well. So you were able to answer pretty confidently. So that was good. Practice would make this even better, though. So I take notes for stories or answers that I have that are like this, because you repeated yourself a couple of times. You went back and you remembered something, like you added like end menus were an entity. So I think it just could flow a little bit better. And that really just comes with practice, right? The more you say something, the better you get at it. Also, when you talked about your choice of database, yeah, you said, you know, it was the one that you knew, and you kind of left it at that. That's kind of a weak answer. It makes it sound like you chose it because it was easy, but not necessarily because it was right. I think a better answer would be, I was already familiar with SQL, and then list the benefits that it provides and how it fits the model that you're trying to fit. So it's still the same thing. You're saying the same thing, but in a different way that puts it in a more positive light. So one makes it sound like you just chose the easy thing. The other makes it sound like you know the advantages, and you can list those. So I'm pretty sure you can answer that already. It's just a matter of choosing the right words. Another thing was, I like how you got asked the question and you said, I'm not sure about it. That's better than BSing. But even better would be finding out some more information and being able to explain it. So again, you can still say, I'm not sure, but in a different way that, again, just kind of puts you in a more better light. Sometimes it's about the feeling that you give to your interviewer, right? And just choosing the right words. So again, like the content might be exactly the same, but shifting your mindset a little, putting yourself in a positive light, helping the story along. Sometimes we're just a little too honest. We say, I don't know. And then you start explaining your answer. Instead of saying, I don't know first, just say, that's an interesting question. Give yourself a second, buy yourself a little bit of time, maybe ask a clarifying question, formulate your thoughts, take notes, whatever it is you need to do, but then give that more thoughtful, thorough answer. If you have another minute, I wanted to give you some feedback about your resume as well. Just a few things that I think could make it better. So it's a good resume for someone who's just fresh out of school. You list your education on here. There's no GPA. If you have a good GPA, put it on there. I think that it's good to see candidates who graduated with a high GPA put their GPA on there. It says something, right? It says that you did hard things and you did it well. If it's not a great GPA, I wouldn't put it on there. Also, any accolades, accomplishments, extra certificates, volunteer activities, clubs that you participated in. If you did that in college, it's kind of a nice to have as well. It just makes you a little bit more well-rounded. And then the projects that you list, you have kind of a nice format for how you list the projects. It's easy to read, but you don't tell me about the impact, the end result, the outcomes, so I don't really have a sense of scale. I don't know how much you did, how big the project was. I mean, you have timeframes on here, so I can kind of see how long it took. But if you have something like, I improved performance by 30%, or page load times dropped from, 2 seconds to half a second. It could have been something you spent 5 minutes on, right? You just optimized something, or you found a better library, or you did something in a better way, but put that on there, right? I mean, that says that you added a technical achievement, you improved something, right? It gives a better sense of your capabilities. This is probably the most common thing that I see on resumes that need to be improved, is people don't put the outcomes and the impact that they made on projects and experiences. Lastly, I hear your pain and frustration with finding that first job. I think we help so many candidates who have either graduated or recently graduated, got a job and got laid off, and are having a really hard time getting that, first kind of career position. So you're not alone. There's a big group. There's members. They'll send you a jacket with your name on it and everything, right? It's a big group. But a couple of tips here. Continue learning. So get more certificates, participate in more projects. Also, do whatever it takes to get more experience. Sometimes this means volunteering. I've known people who, have this amazing, capability and don't have a job, can't get one. And one person I know went to a nonprofit and said, "Hey, can I volunteer to build a website for you?" And they said, "Okay, sure." And they did. They built a website. They added services. They did something, and so it was something good that they did. They volunteered their time, and it's something that they put on their resume, right? And now they have a referral from this organization. They got to know people. They got to network. So I would say, find whatever you can. Continue work on this. Think of yourself as, I am a computer engineer. I am a gifted, talented, programmer who can build anything, and it's just who I am. And now, make good use of your time here to get that, the job that you deserve.
Yeah,
Adeel,
that's very good advice. I think a couple of things definitely stand out from that for everybody to take away. One is, like, in your resume, highlight the achievements. Like in this example, they had something like, one of their database operations mastery, but they used the word like applied hands-on experience as opposed to highlighting, something like improved performance of the database queries by X%. That would have been huge, powerful. You're always trying to differentiate yourself when you're like trying to break into something new. You're trying to differentiate between a lot of applicants, and it's great advice. Certifications, volunteering. I would, I think I've also seen folks contribute to and get a lot out of like contributing to open source projects, because again, it's real world kind of experience. The code you're writing makes that open source project better. So you're just trying to differentiate yourself, and those things will definitely help you differentiate.
Totally. Yeah. Thank you very much. She just replied in the Slack that she was disconnected, had some connectivity issue. But yeah. Anyway, kudos for being number one. It's a lot of nerves, and I know that's stressful by itself. And being public speaking, it adds up for sure. Before moving forward to candidate two, we want to share with you our program that we prepared for all. It's a program that will change we're targeting to change the industry of hiring itself. It's a game changer. So I'll give a short story before moving towards this program. Previously, I was running the boot camps, and after that, I was running the recruiting business. So I've been in both sides, in recruiting, in employers side, and I was in the candidate side, right? And it's a conflict of interest for sure. And that's why recruiters, they usually do not work with fresh grads or new, especially career changers. Actually, with grads, it's new grads that have higher chances versus to people who is changing their career. And it's a supply demand. So the problem that we're trying to solve is that it's almost impossible to get a job without any previous experience. And there's a lot of memes in the internet and LinkedIn, you see, right? Like how do I get a job if you require for entry-level job 3 years of experience? How do I get this, right? And there is a reason why why companies are putting this, right? They're trying to filter out. Uh, and it's very hard to find diamond in the rough. And it's actually creating another problem, right? Fake resumes. So it's two problems. Companies do not hire people without experience, and a lot of boot campers, and not only they putting fake resumes, and I don't blame about it. That's how the industry works, right? So how do you pass it? Uh, how do you can walk through that, right? So, and that's why we decided to do this program. You can say only if you can recommend someone from the based on his actual work or based on his actual activity. And yeah, George and Adeel and myself, we're part of this program. We got together 5 other hiring managers, hiring, I would say, tech executives, and we brainstormed how we can help people with skills to get a job, to prove that they're capable, and how we can help companies to pick the candidates who are capable, who they can trust, right? Like not just based on the resume. Yeah, George, do you wanna kick this off and share how it looks like?
Yeah, sure, I'd love to. Let me share my screen here. Okay, I'm going to try something new, which is always risky when presenting. Can you guys see me?
I love risky
The
things.
presentation?
Yes.
Okay, great.
George, the only feedback, can you make the presentation bigger? It's looks a little narrow, so it's like a smaller box and you have a lot of empty space.
No, I can't. I have a monitor that's long ways, and that is
Okay. It looks
That's okay.
great.
All right, give me a
Go
sec.
for it.
Hang on. I got this. I totally got this, I think. All right, trying something riskier. Let's try this. And then this. And then this. How about now?
Brilliant.
Can you see the presentation?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then unfortunately my face is there as well. All right, cool. Let's get started. Yeah, like Evgeny was saying, it's a tough market. And like I was talking with candidate number one, it's really hard to really land the job that you deserve. And there's some significant challenges. So I wanted to talk to you about our program from Incredihire. The struggle is real. There's really hard chances of getting an interview right now. So many candidates are applying, and I've heard from employers saying, I closed my rec because 2 days after I opened it, I got 1,000 resumes, and I'm overwhelmed, right? So even people trying to hire are having a really hard time filtering through all the noise. So your chances of getting that attention from a recruiter or a hiring manager are pretty slim, just because you're a needle in the haystack. Then there's the challenge of building your resume when you don't really have that experience. So just like I was telling a previous candidate, volunteer, do personal projects, do whatever it takes to get more of that experience. And people are trying to get into this industry any way they can. They take courses, they go to college, they take boot camps. And one thing that we've really noticed, I mean, I've heard this over and over again, is I took a boot camp. They promised me, that I'll get a job or interviews. They told me I can put, fake experience on my resume, and it's not working. And I paid all this money. I spent all this time. And it's really frustrating. Like it's a disservice when, places like this really kind of try to sell you something, and then you open the package and it's something else completely. So there's a lot of disappointment in that. And this is, where we come in. We've been helping people with preparing for interviews, resumes, career coaching, and we have some experience on the hiring side. And so we really wanted to bridge the gap and do something a little bit unique. So what we do is we take the people who have the competency, that potential, but just either don't have the experience or having a hard time getting interviews, and we give them something to show. So we are, Fang executives. I think combined we probably have over 100 years of experience from the tech industry. I've worked at places like Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, and we're all directors, senior managers. We know what it's like to hire. We know how it's like to grow careers, and we know just the right feedback to give. So what we do is we put together a program that is very real world. So you join our program, you work on real projects just like you would at a company. We give you feedback and the coaching that you need to really improve. We'll give you that experience. And in the end, what you get is guaranteed interviews if you graduate and meet certain criteria, because we partner with external companies who are looking to hire. So a little bit more about the program. This is a 6-week course. You go through a complete life cycle. You're going to work with others who are in your field. So there's going to be product development and testing. You go to create a feature, test it, break it, fix it, deploy it, watch it in the real world. We give you constant coaching and feedback, and we give you a performance evaluation just like you would at a real job. It's not a certificate for participating. This is like a grade that you would get if, so let's say you got into Harvard, you take multiple courses, you would get a grade, and based on your merit, right? So we evaluate on 4 key components that are key to being successful at any job, which is taking ownership, competency in the core skills of the job, collaboration, how you work with others, and finally, actually this is my favorite, it's attitude. So these are 4 things that I look for when I hire people and growing their careers. What else you get? This is now something that makes us even more unique. Not only do we provide the coaching from the executives that we know what we're doing in the industry, but because we partner with companies who are looking to hire, you get access to that network. The companies that we partner with, they basically guarantee us interviews. That's all we ask from them. And so we want to do that match. Think of us as, I don't know, the Hinge or the Bumble of recruiting, I guess. That's a really bad analogy. But, we're the matchmakers. We take you, we see what your strengths are and what, job you want to get. We look for open positions in our partners, and we do that matching. And so, again, if you, successfully complete the program, you're guaranteed an interview. And we do offer a money-back guarantee. If we cannot give you that interview, you still get everything. But if you don't get an interview at the end of that program, your money goes back to you and you keep everything else. We do more than just help you with the technical stuff and career things. We give you interview prep, kind of like today. Today's kind of a taste of mock interview and preparation, but we do it on one-on-one. We help you specifically. And we don't leave you once you get a job. We offer 90 days of career mentoring. Those first 90 days on the job are critical to being successful on the job. So not only do we want your talent to shine and you get connected with employers who are a good match for you, we want you to be successful once you start a job. So it's really the entire life cycle. And again, this is something that's really unique. You know, there's, you know, some organizations that maybe do part of this, and they all charge a lot, and they do it with various success. But I think this is something that we've really seen that is a huge value that only we can provide, because we know what the industry is like. We've been there, we've been in your place, we've been on the other side. And so I think it's a net benefit to you, to employers who are looking to hire, and everyone kind of wins in the end.
George,
That's
can
what,
can I add to the previous slide as well? The guarantee interview is for hiring companies, right? This is very important part, that
Yeah.
it's not going to be mock interview. It's going to be the real interview for their job. And that's our focus right now. We already, George mentioned, we already have signed up companies who will be doing this. And this is my primary job, to bring as many companies as I can. And we basically combine two things, right? We combine the recruiting agencies, which I do have network, and all of us have network of companies, and we combine our expertise, which is, it's quite a unique. I would say it's a unique, right? Yep. Thank you. That's all what I wanted to add.
yeah, real interviews, real companies. That's what we give you. Absolutely. Here's what you put in. It's 6 weeks. It's not just, you know, Skyping it in. You don't just watch a video. This is a program, right? So you participate in shipping a feature. It's about 20 hours a week. We don't want it to drag on forever. So we want it to be an intense 6-week course. We have goals and focuses for every single week of the course. We ask that you put in a growth mindset. You're here to learn. And just like the brutally honest feedback that I'm giving for these mock interviews, that's what you're going to get from me and from others. Is we're going to find your strengths and amplify them. We're also going to find areas that you need to work on. We're going to tell you exactly what they are, and help you as much as possible to fill in those gaps, to be, you know, the best engineer that you can possibly be, based on all of our experience. We are offering a special right now. The fee is $1,000 for those 6 weeks to enter the program. Again, if you don't get an interview when you successfully complete it, you get your money back, because that's really what we want to offer. So those are the components that you put into the program. We're also running a referral program where you refer someone. If they sign up, you get $250 off. This is retroactive as well. So if you refer someone and 6 months later they apply for the program, you know, we track you down. We'll give you your money. So 4 candidates, then your tuition is basically free. There are some minimum requirements. So I do want to emphasize, you know, when I use the example of Harvard, I use that because Harvard's not an easy school to get into. There are minimum requirements that they filter out people. And that's what we try to do as well. Is we're not a boot camp. We don't teach core skills. We take people with those core competencies, and we let them shine and really, you know, unlock their engineering capabilities. So you do need some core skills to get in. And I think this is the target audience of, if you've been through a boot camp, if you have that knowledge, but you just don't have the experience, then I think this is something that is going to fit you really, really well. So we look for someone who has that growth mindset, passion for learning, and also the core skills to do the job, because you will be part of a group. You will work on a feature. You will learn a lot, but you do need, you know, those core competencies. So the process is pretty simple. You register on incredihire.com. We assess you and do that vetting. And if you're in, you get in, you start your program. That's pretty much it. Happy to answer any questions now or later. You can hit me up on LinkedIn or just go to our website. We have some more information on there. So I'll pause here and see if anyone has any questions.
What times during the day do groups meet?
That is a great question. I get this often. So we work around your schedule. Most people who, I think there's two groups. A group who don't have a job right now and are looking to get one, so they're a little bit more free. Others who have a day job and don't have a lot of time in the morning. So we work around your schedule. There's probably going to be a stand-up maybe 3-4 times a week. That might be early in the morning or during lunch. Again, we work with whatever works for the whole group. One-on-ones and individual coaching, again, will be around your schedule. So I have some availability during the day. Some evenings are free for me, not Friday evening, but we'll find the time that works. So it's kind of all throughout. But we also run this like a real product company. So meetings are done only when necessary. There's not a lot of fluff, and we want to, we respect your time. So we want to be very cognizant of, scheduling meetings. And so we work around your schedule.
Yeah, I also want to add that we're going to have core hours when everybody's expecting, like in the real work, to contribute and communicate. All right. Thank you, George. That was great presentation. And I think people will have more questions towards the end. We're gonna start the second mock interview. Let's move forward. Candidate number 2, let me promote panelists and we can get started. Hello, candidate
hello.
number 2.
Can you hear me?
We can, yep.
Awesome.
Can you share your resume with us? Share your screen with your resume.
Sure can. Give me 1 second. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Nope. Can you try again?
Okay. Can you see my resume?
Yep. Perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah, before moving forward, also give us, I see that you're looking for QA openings or jobs, right? Give us a little bit context, how long you've been in the job market so far, what is your experience, and then we're gonna start with a mock interview.
All right. So I've been in the job market for like 3 months or so. Been working as a QA since the beginning of my career. This is back in 2016. Yeah, that's basically my intro there.
And what is the challenges for you think?
I've gotten a couple of interviews with hiring managers,
Mhm.
but just can't get something to impress them, I guess. I've been mumbling and stuff. But yeah, I think that's my biggest issue. I can't impress
All right.
hiring managers.
That's a practice, and that's what we're gonna do right now. Let's get started. Candidate number 2. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right. So first of all, thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me today. My name is Candidate 2. Like I said, I've been working in the software quality space since the beginning of my career in 2016, and early on in company Z, was exposed to QA as a part-time tester. And after like 3 months, they offered me a full-time position, and I definitely found a passion for quality engineering along the way. In my current role, I've been working on optimizing our Selenium framework, making it more maintainable, and also making a new test suite for my team. I'm part of the accounts team. I've been working on redefining acceptance criteria and working closely with the UX team and developers as well. Just basically looking for new opportunities to grow and help companies achieve their goals.
Okay, great. Hi, candidate number 2. It's nice to meet you. Thanks for being brave and volunteering to do this. Let me ask you a question. I can see you have some automation experience. Can you tell me about a time when you improved quality?
Well, in my current role, I've been making a lot of optimization with our Selenium framework. I basically took the mobile suite and optimized it. It was basically all scripts. So what I did is to, I guess, separate everything into page object model style and just make helper methods to call them. It's like callable helper methods. And I think that brought a lot of maintainability to our test. That's, like I said, that's my current most greatest achievements from now. But yeah, I'm sorry.
And what made you take this on? What was the situation before, and then what did it look like after?
Yeah, that's a good question. But I mean, the fact that they were all scripts, they were everything's like was like hard coded in there, made it very difficult to maintain and to kind of like use for other tests. So by separating them into helper methods, I was able to call them from the test methods and then be able to for example, parameterize some of the tests. I was able to do that. I guess just in general, it was more readable, more maintainable in that sense.
How long did it take you to do this?
Well, since I was involved with my team, with my specific domain team, I was also doing this on the side. I think it took me like 6 months or so. But I was basically refactoring the whole mobile suite, and yeah, so it took me like 6-7 months to achieve that. I had also studying for my AWS certification as well. So I was taking a lot of things on my plate. So
okay. How big was the automation suite? Do you know? Is it how many lines of code? How many automated tests?
well, the suite I did, or are you talking about the whole thing, the whole framework?
Yeah, the whole thing. I mean, what you refactored.
Oh, that was like 20 tests. It was like 20. It was like, I don't know, 500 lines of code, but in like into perspective, it was like 20 tests or so. The entire framework was like 500 tests, but I mean, we were all a big team, and it's just everyone was in charge of maintaining something. But what I did was like 20 tests, and then I also, by adding a new suite for my specific team, it was also like 25 tests.
Okay.
How long did the suite take those 25 tests take to execute?
we had a automation day, I guess that we called it. It didn't take more than, I guess, 20 minutes to run the whole thing. But yeah, everyone were working on firing their suite and then documenting how many pass, how many fail, if they were going to be fixed or so. But yeah, in total time, it was like 15, 20 minutes to execute the whole suite.
And do you have a sense of what the improvement in maintenance was? Was there test flakiness before? How long did it take to maintain tests or add a new test before? And then was there an improvement after?
Yeah, there was a couple of flaky tests, and this was due to some selectors that were kind of not really the best. So I also worked on that, like making new selectors and then optimizing. I also found a lot of like repeated selectors that were like kind of all over the place. So I kind of like made my point to organize them and then having them in one place. So we're not looking all over the place for them. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Let me give you some feedback.
George, mind if
Mhm.
I go first?
Oh yeah, go for it. Sure.
Yeah, I just had one question, candidate number 2. Did you write the resume, or did you get some help with this resume?
Oh man, I've been writing this resume for like 3 months. So yeah, I've been redefining it and I've been getting some feedback as well. And I guess a combination of feedback and rewriting it a couple of hundred times.
So, I ask because it's a really good it's a really good resume for someone in your, with your trajectory. And I like it because it's like it's concise, it's highlighting a lot of different things. It's very interesting to read, and like somebody reading, like if I was reading your resume for an open position, I'd be very interested in chatting with you. But I think, and I'm sure George will cover it a lot better. But what's missing in a lot of your answers is the art of telling a story.
Right.
Um, a lot of your answers were, there are a lot of there's good technical detail, but none of them were complete, as you probably noticed, and you maybe have noticed when you're going to these actual interviews, talking to hiring managers. um, they're asking a lot of follow-up questions, right? Because there is something there, but the more effort it takes for a hiring manager to get that information out, and still it be incomplete, it just leaves a sense of, I didn't get a good sense of this candidate. I like their resume.
Mhm.
I like their experience. That's why I wanted to chat with them. But
Mhm.
and what a hiring manager is really doing is, like, they're taking making sure some of the basic things are there.
Mhm.
Um, and this is somebody, they, the things, they're just looking for a reason to put you to the next round is what they're really looking for. So I think you definitely need to work on that. My suggestion would be, first, when you hear the question, take a moment to like really figure out what the question is. Because as an example, the first question, you immediately took it to a technical direction, but these are behavioral questions, and it's okay. This is a technical position, so it's okay to add those details, but make sure you're really understanding the question, that George asked around your quality contributions. I would highly, I would suggest looking up the STAR method, because that will just help you
Mhm.
to build that story. More than anything else, it'll help you to build that story and highlight the right parts of your, the context, the actions you took, and the results you got. Would be my suggestion. The other thing I would, and this is like my final part of my feedback is, um, you you know if you're going for SDET type roles, right? Um, and I don't have a lot of context, and again, didn't provide it, but that's okay. That's something you can improve. But 25 tests is not a lot of tests.
Yeah.
Right. So when you hear maybe I'm hiring for a junior SDET position or a mid-level SDET position, if I hear like 25 tests, 6 months, that's gonna give me a little bit of a pause, because that seems like a lot of time and not a lot of tests. So I would, you have some good, percentages there, but I would try to like really explain, why is it 25 tests? What's happening with that app? Maybe those tests are like really long. Maybe you need to break, how do you look at what do you think is a test? One test, one definition is like the PyTest execution, but in there, if you're doing a lot of verifications, maybe it's more tests than that. I'm not sure what the detail is, but I'm gonna just let you know that as your resume, when I would read your resume, I'd be like, hey, this is somebody I want to talk to. Like they've done Ruby, they've done Python, like TypeScript, like that's really interesting. Let me talk to this person. But then you need to have like, you talk more, that have that pipeline, have the test, all of those things. So I think that's a little bit missing. Maybe it's how you're presenting the information. I'm not sure, but that's definitely a little bit missing for you. If somebody comes in with a mindset, like looks at a great resume, they already have an expectation, and then you're not able to back that up because of storytelling and some of the, the technical details, then, they're going to be less likely to move forward with you. So that's some of my feedback.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, good feedback from Adeel there. I'll try not to repeat what he said, because I agree with it. Let me say some positive things first. You know your stuff pretty well. When we ask you some more questions, you're able to talk about, like you brought up selectors and like repeated selectors, and it was causing some flaky tests, which, is like the right answer. So you know your stuff. That's good. And also, I like when I asked you how long it took, you said 6 months, and then you explained why it took 6 months. And you kind of put a plug, like you were studying for AWS certificate or something. That was pretty slick how you did that. That was cool. And that it was a side project. And so you answered that pretty well, because 6 months is kind of a long time.
Yeah, it is.
But you explained why. So I think you handled that part really well. Don't change that. Your story could be improved a lot, though. You made me ask a lot of questions to get more details. My initial question was, tell me a time when you improved quality. And you made me hunt a lot for the answer. And in the end, you didn't tell me how quality improved by your effort that you put in. So let me walk you through some things that I think could be improved about your story. First, the context. You gave some context, but it was more about the thing you were working on, but not the why. So what was really the problem? Why would you put in this effort? Did you volunteer, or were you asked? Were these mobile tests? How many tests were there? I think 20 mobile tests is okay, but you can also, kind of like Adeel was saying, like, it doesn't sound like a lot, but how often were they run? How many devices were they run on? I think you mentioned something about browser stack using multiple devices in your resume. So 25 tests are run on 20 different devices. That's 500 tests, right? So there's ways of saying, of pulling out the significance of what you're working on ahead of time, right? To kind of set the stage. So, hey, these tests were really important. We ran them 5 times a day on, 20 different devices, 10 devices. 5 of them were BVTs that ran 100 times a day. So tell me more about why this was so critical. Why would you spend 6 months on this, right? So it's just something that kind of raises an eyebrow. That was like, oh, okay. Content, yeah, and then how you started on this. And again, the outcome. Please tell me the outcome. You were awesome. You did something great, but you didn't tell me why it was great. Like, what? How did it really improve? That's why I asked you that question. And you said you started going to like some flaky tests were due to selectors and stuff. Pull out numbers. Tell me something, right? Tell me it used to take a day to write a new test. Now it takes 2 hours, right, on average. But, you know, don't lie, don't BS, but try to pull out some sort of metric. Did tests run faster? Maybe not. But if maintainability was your goal, then tell me how maintainability improved. Did you get recognized for this effort? Did others give you accolades, give you positive feedback, right? That's a really nice way to kind of end the story of, you know, the 5 other people contributing to this framework, you know, kept bringing up how much better it was, how much easier it was to fix tests, to write more tests. You know, it took us, you know, a year to write 20 tests, and then we wrote 20 more in 2 months. So tell me something about the outcome that your effort produced, because if you don't, I'm going to guess. In worst case, I'm going to guess something negative, like you spent 6 months and nothing happened, right? Wrap it up with a nice bow, put a little cherry on top of this sundae, you know, make it, just wrap it up really nicely. And the good news, though, is, oh, and one more thing, there was a little bit of rambling, not too much. Like in the beginning, you were talking, you said, and that's my current greatest achievement. And yeah, I do that a lot myself.
Yeah.
I say a lot. It's something that I have to consciously watch out for. The good news, though, is this can be significantly improved with some practice and coaching. So when you have your story, and this is a story, right? It needs to fit in a star format. It needs to have a beginning, a problem, solution, and ending. If you just practice this, have notes, you can really glide through it very smoothly, provide all the information. And the more you practice, the more concise it will be. It really is telling a story. It makes the interviewer interested, engaged. You pull out the emphasis that you want them to take out of it. So I think the content is there. Like, you know your stuff, you're capable, you've done some cool things. Tell me about it. A few other things. Your resume, I agree with Adeel. It looks nice, it flows well. You're pulling out your impacts. There's metrics in there. It's pretty good. Yeah, there's a lot that I really like about it. It's just easy to read, and like I think Adeel's comment about this is a resume that makes me interested to talk to you is perfect. That's exactly what you want. I think you can also have a little bit more detail and more outcomes. So like said something about different platforms. You could just say which ones, right? That's a few more keywords you can add to your resume. Just it makes it just a little improved. And some things, you have some numbers in some places, but they're not necessarily significant. Like ensuring 100% reliable testing for every code commit.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what that means. It sounds like potential. So I wouldn't remove it completely, but if there's a better way to phrase that or something. So it's good that there's numbers. I think some tweak, but I wouldn't make this the core focus of your, you know, next career goal. Because your resume is, I think, good. If you're getting interviews, then awesome. I would work more about your delivery of how you respond to questions in interviews.
great. That's awesome. And you know what? I have been recording myself just to get some like feedback on my end, but this is really great feedback. I know I'm conscious that I need to work on my storytelling. I suck at it, but yeah, I mean, that's what this is for.
And
Yeah.
and one thing that stands out to me, you know, one thing I'll say, and you may have seen this throughout, I definitely noticed it. You're more comfortable now than you were in the beginning. So some of my, I mean, these are my like regular tips, but some of my regular tips are before you're going into like a conversation when you're trying to, you know, like an interview type conversation. I like to hype myself up, you know. I like to, you know, I like to do it standing, especially if it's a phone interview. I'm a pacer, so I will do it pacing. I try to get my energy level up because that's, you know, to understand, that's how most people are, right? As you get more comfortable, you get more confident. Right now, you are very confident. Your answers are flowing. In the beginning, they're not. So the other part of it, I'll say to gain also confidence. That's why the introduction is really important. Most interviews are going to start with tell me about yourself or some small talk. Dive into it. If you have your introduction like nailed down, so it's just coming out of memory, it will give you more confidence for the next part of the interview. That's really helpful. And the final part, I got to say this, you are one of the biggest reasons I come and do this, because there's so many times as like actual hiring managers, we get to talk to, at least me, I get to talk to people and I'm like, this person, I know there's something there, right? But because I have a set of questions I have to ask and I have to grade everybody the same, I can't move forward with this person, but I can't really give feedback to this person because that's just that just doesn't that's just a slippery slope right there. So this is great. You have a good resume, you have good experience. George said you know your stuff. That's a big compliment. Work on that storytelling, work on how you're presenting yourself in interviews, and I think it'll you're going to be fine regardless, but this way you just maximize the offers you're getting, and even the offers you're getting are better than they would be otherwise.
Yeah, and I want to be a little bit more specific that Adil just said. In the beginning, I like your calmness, but the level of excitement is like, a little bit close to boring. I mean, I felt that you was bored with this interview already. Like, I had feeling like maybe you was trying to escape, or but in the end, you definitely level up your excitement. It's more you were more engaging for sure. And it's just as Ayel said, if you keep this level from the beginning, your pitch should be, like engaging in the beginning. You set the tone of the conversation right up front instead of like you trying to get this part on interviewer to warm you up. Instead of warm you up yourself and try to lead the conversation, then it will be it's going to be tremendous improvement on your side. But overall, all good. I like your calmness. I would prefer you would be calm rather than rumbling and speed talking, like myself maybe sometimes. Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much. Oh, one more thing. For your
Yes.
resume, I hope you do similar version, but for as that position or for test automation position, because you will be filtering out because of QA engineer. Usually, if you recruiters that have an assignment to search for test automation engineers, they will be keywording this type of searching resumes. So make another sample of resume for test automation positions or QA automation, and I think you are qualified for that. Just few tips, but overall, thank you very much, candidate number 2. And I'll give right now an announcement for the next mock interview. Before that, guys, I'm gonna launch the poll. It's really, really crucial for us to get your feedback from these mock interviews to improve our next sessions. I'll give you like couple, maybe 1 minute. It's very easy to like just 4 or 5 questions over there. Fill it out, please. It's very important for us. I hope it will definitely help us out. While you're doing this, for those who is looking us through live stream, so we're gonna skip the next Saturday because we're gonna have LA event here in Los Angeles for tech executives. And by the way, if we have from our listeners and our viewers, engineering managers, directors, VP, CTOs, please reach us out. We would love to see you first in our mock interviews. If you want to give back to our community back, I would love to have anyone who want to also do the mock interviews. It's not exclusively only us. No, We are very open to all contributors. And another thing, next, the August 10th, we already agreed, we're gonna have Artem Bondar. He is like one of the top on Udemy platform instructor for Cypress and Playwright. So we're gonna do the mock interviews around destination positions around this specific. We'll see, but that's a good opportunity to get the mock interview from top-rated instructor on Udemy course. All right. Please, guys, just fill out the rest of see 3 out of 9. Fill this up. We need it all. We need it all. We need your voice. Okay, and I'll give you 30 more seconds. Oh yeah. That's awesome. We already have some people replied me into the LinkedIn. I will reply back to all of you who messaged me. Definitely, please connect to us, to all of us in LinkedIn. George, Adeel. George already posted. Adeel also posted in the chat. Yeah, in the LinkedIn, I will tag and George and Adeel, but most likely you already know them if you are in LinkedIn. Okay. All right, I think we should be good. We can wrap this up. Thank you all for participating in this mock interviews, and Adeel, George, thank you very much for your valuable feedback. As usual, great. As usual, I love this session. How did it went? Very big kudos to candidate number 1, candidate number 2, to all our participants, to all our attendees. Great questions. And I'll see you in August 10th in our next mock interview. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.